technology sector. My name is Paul Fileman, and I'll be your presenter this afternoon. The whole point of this afternoon's presentation is to give you some hints and tips on how you can assure your organisation will grow more consistently over time. And the basic premise here is that there's no easy route to this. The only way you can ensure that your organisation will grow consistently and rapidly is to get the basics right. That is, to know your numbers, to have a set of values that are embedded in the organisation that everybody works to, and you know that everybody works to those values, to have your team engaged and to know that your team is engaged, and lastly, but by no means least, to manage the customer journey so that every aspect of customer interaction, from first contact through to collecting the cash and then going on to repeat business, is managed and is organised correctly. So what is business? Well, Royston Guest says that the whole purpose of being in business is to retain and acquire new customers. Everything that contributes to this is an investment. Anything that doesn't is a cost. Do you measure the things that are investments and the things that are costs to your organisation? Growth in an organisation demands that you as a leader are proactive, that you plan correctly, that there is formality in some aspects of your business, that there is clarity, that you have a clear vision. Everybody knows where we are going. People know that what they're working on is aligned with the vision for the business, and they know how they're contributing to that. There's a mission statement that everybody understands that is not just a platitude, but is something that people live by. It describes what we do to get there. And your values are documented. How we do it or how we don't do it is written down. And you've embedded those values in the organisation so that everybody behaves appropriately. You provide firm, fair leadership, so there's respect up, down and sideways throughout the organisation. And your staff are engaged with excellent regular communication, understanding and buy-in. Growth also demands that there's a clear understanding of the target markets. So you pick three clear target areas where you are most likely to win, where you've won before, and where you know that you can make money. There's evidence of competency and credibility in that target market, case studies and referrals. And in the digital age, we've got to show evidence, YouTube case studies, referrals, wherever and however you can. And none of this stuff costs a great deal to provide. There's also regular and consistent demand generation activity so that you're producing inbound inquiries. One of the most common mistakes we see in organisations that recruit their first salespeople is they hand them the yellow pages or the modern equivalent and set them to work making cold calls. Salespeople cost far too much money to spend time cold calling. You need to generate demand using smart, low-cost staff who know how to research the internet. Laser targeting and online networking tools are an absolute must. Things like LinkedIn. CRM systems are absolutely essential, and it's worth considering investing in a knowledge base. Inside View is one that we've come across in a number of our clients, but there are many others out there that are very cost effective in terms of linking together information about your prospects and suspects to what's available publicly on LinkedIn. Growth also demands that there's a well-defined and articulated proposition. So your value proposition is the written statement of exactly what the value is that you provide, set in the context of a customer need. Retention is low cost, but remember, you have to keep adding new customers faster than you are ever losing them. 40% of SMEs fail within the first 5 years, and that's a lot to do with their lack of acquisition of new customers at the right pace and the too leaky a bucket. They're not good enough at delivering. Your sales team has to be highly motivated, and that highly motivated sales team has to be absolutely supported throughout the organization, because your sales team can only be as good as your delivery and support team. Everybody should be a sales body, but technical people won't want to be seen to be in sales. Nevertheless, your technical people are in sales to some extent, in that they are a relationship with your clients, with your prospects. They are providers of service, and people will judge your organization and whether or not they want to continue to do business with it based on their interactions with your technical staff. So how do you shape up? Have a think about this. When was the last time you reviewed your strategic plan? Do you meet off-site, say quarterly or every 6 months with the whole team? Do you have a written, committed, documented plan that you're working to throughout your organization? We move on now to understanding the numbers. It's absolutely crucial that you do not hide behind your accountant. Far too many organizations manage their cash on a day-to-day basis based on what's in the bank account and do nothing else other than wait till year end to find out whether or not they've made a profit. You've got to understand where your cash flow is in the organization, where you are on credit limits with your suppliers, where you are on costs. You need to understand things on a week-to-week basis so that you, as the business owner, understand, so that you've got the KPIs and the dashboards in place in the organization that are forward-looking. You know what causes sales and you are measuring that. And use things like 12-month trailing charts that allow you to see what the trends are. You take out the short term when the way you look at the organization, and you concentrate on the trends so that you can see whether or not the work that you're doing in the organization is having the desired effect, so that you can see if the outcomes that you're generating are actually the result of the work that you're doing, or whether you've lost control of some aspect of the organization and the tail is now wagging the dog. You really do need to understand all of the numbers in the organization. You need to make them real and forward looking so that you understand what causes sales in your organization, what's your make or break. You need to understand closing ratios. And for example, for new business acquisition salespeople, the hunters, as we call them, typically they're going to win 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 to 1 in 5 of the properly qualified leads that they're working on at any one time. Your account managers, your farmers working with your retained customers, will typically win 1 in 3 of the bids that they're working on. And you, the business owner, will usually be capable of winning 1 in 2, because you're the people who understand your organization best, and you're the people who genuinely understand the elements of the value proposition that you have not yet written down. So there's no real pressure on you, but you've got to work out ways of documenting the way that the organization works in such a way that the improvements that you're seeing in your own performance as a salesperson, for example, are generated by the people that you employ to do those tasks for you. It is achievable, but it's only achievable if you get things organized throughout the sales function. You need to measure employee engagement. It's absolutely essential to have an engaged team. And to find out, ask them. There's lots of free questionnaires for this available on the internet. You can go out and get that sort of thing organized. A firm that we've worked with grew from 10 million turnover to 57 million turnover over about a 10-year period. They go through this process every 6 months without fail, so that they know how engaged their people are. So they know, for example, plucking these numbers at random, that 19% of their people are engaged, they're loyal, productive, and they find the work satisfying. 61% are not engaged, not psychologically committed to their role, and may leave if the opportunity presented itself. And they also know that 20% of the people are disenchanted, vocal, or militant in showing their negative attitude towards work. And perhaps those are the people who are currently working for the wrong organisation and need to be encouraged to move on. If we move on now to the customer journey, small and medium-sized businesses are typically better at making sales than they are at delivering and managing service delivery and customer support. Have you ever thought about your customer experience? I was talking to the owner of a local furniture and home goods firm recently. It's a local lacquer firm near where I live. Talking to this chap, and they've been in business for about 60 years. He's now isolated from the day-to-day operation of the business. He still spends at least one day a month working on their delivery van so that he's going out and seeing his customers face to face. And he finds that that time spent is a day invested in understanding what the customer experience is. So what's your equivalent of going out on the deliveries once a month? Is it going out with your techs when they go to site so that you can spend a couple of minutes with a customer? Is it listening into the calls? Whatever you need to do, understand how your customers perceive your service delivery and customer support. And here's a couple of examples of values and how things work in the customer journey. Ryanair, cheap and cheerful, but you do know where you stand with them. Whereas with Virgin, the customer is king. I've spoken a lot about values. My colleague Steve's been working with this organisation in Nottingham. They've documented their values and it's on their website. You can read them there for yourself. And that's a set of values that makes sense for them as an organisation. Would you hire this company? And by the way, when you look at the footer on that, is your own website legal? Do you comply with the Companies Act 2006? It's something worth thinking about. But certainly it's worth spending time and effort understanding the values that you have in your organization and writing those down and ensuring that when you recruit new people and when you're understanding who you're going to promote or wherever, it's people that you're going to have in the business in senior positions are people who live and work to the values that you've written down, and you understand how those are going to be driven throughout your organization. So what are your values as an organization? Do you have them? Are they on your website? Do all of your staff know what they are, and do they live by them in their interactions with your customers and your suppliers? It's only by understanding that you can start to think about the customer journey and ensuring that it's a smooth experience through every part of the organization. Thinking about this honestly, in your organization, is there an integrated marketing communication strategy that includes voice calls, web, email, interactions that come through your social channels? Are orders from the sales team complete, clean, and trouble-free? Have you actually written down what constitutes a clean order? The point of doing this is not to tie the sales team in knots. The point of doing this is to ensure that when an order is handed over to the delivery team, the salesperson can go back out on the road and win the next order, knowing that what they've just sold will be delivered correctly and provide customer satisfaction, and they can stop worrying about it, and the organization knows that it's got the information required to deliver the whole order correctly and cleanly and collect cash on it. Does the sales administration team give new customers confidence in their service? So when they're doing the fine detail and the small print of a sales order, are customers getting confidence that you know what you're doing as an organization? Does your product and service delivery team communicate with the customer effectively? Are orders fulfilled in a timely manner? So when people place an order with you, do you set their expectations correctly and then meet those expectations or preferably exceed them by a small margin? Do you provide new customers with a welcome pack telling them how to obtain support, whether it's 24/7, whatever your terms are? Are your customer care teams alerted to the presence of new customers in a timely manner so that the first time a customer rings into your help desk, their data is already in your systems and they're already greeted with a, "We know who you are," rather than the, "Oh, are you a new customer? Oh, sorry, we're going to have to find out some details." That really annoys new customers when their information hasn't gone through to the customer care team. Is your customer support facility contributing to profit or loss? And by that, we mean, is it just costing you money to provide the support, or is it genuinely adding value to your customers and genuinely helping you to retain those customers and to make them more profitable? Are your support teams maximising cross-sales from customers? So are they genuinely spotting opportunities and flagging them to the account team, or are they incentivised to ensure that very small orders can be processed without the need to involve a salesperson, so that when an opportunity arises, the customer is dealt with in a clean way that ensures the customer doesn't believe they've just been upsold, they actually believe they've been provided with a better service. Do your new customers pay on time? It's one of the classic measures of your customer service levels. Do people pay on time? If they do, it's a sign that they're getting good service and that your invoicing is clear and understood. Are your finance team customer friendly? It's one thing to go out and collect the cash, but it does need to be done in a way in which people understand where they stand with your organization and without annoying customers. And lastly, but by no means least, is everybody a sales body? Does everybody contribute to helping the organization win new and retain existing customers? And if you're answering no to more of those, have you got this bumpy road where marketing, web, sales, admin, delivery, support, and cash collection are all disconnected, and things just don't join up, and the customer ends up providing the sticking plaster to help your organization glue itself together? Now, that utopia, the road from lead to cash, can only be delivered if from first engagement through the administration of delivery, through the delivery itself, through support and cash collection, you've got a smooth process. And that means coherent customer communication, accurate and consistent presentation of products and services so people know exactly what they're getting. The gatekeepers, and I'll define more about gatekeepers in a few slides' time, are empowered to manage each stage. The software that you're using to run this process is the slave to the business process, as opposed to what we see more and more often these days, the business process being the slave to the software. That's just an unacceptable way of working. You have to set things up so the software that you're using in your organization is a tool that ensures that your people are better able to provide consistent customer service to your customers, so that as long as they're at the same time as they're adhering to your business processes. Is your infrastructure secure and protected so that when you capture customer data or you start hosting customer data in your servers or whatever it is, it's secure and protected and resilient? And have you worked to minimize the human resources that are required to deliver and manage these things, so that that consistency, that smooth customer experience is achieved through decent business process rather than through a few heroes going above and beyond every month to make sure things have happened? And all of this must be underpinned by a clear and consistent customer communications plan, so that people know where they stand, so customers are communicated with in a way that helps them to be better informed about how your organization is serving them. And the likely reality for an awful lot of organizations is that things are disconnected. People start asking the question of, do you as an organization know what you're doing? And something we see quite often in businesses is there's extra resources being thrown at things to hold it all together, extra expensive people, whether they be project managers or supervisors or whatever, holding the process together, the heroes, if you like, of your organization, who are working very, very hard to ensure that everything works correctly in spite of the way your organization is organized. So how can you help to improve the customer journey? Well, there's some basic principles. Starting at the beginning of the process, when an opportunity arises, ask the basic questions, the 4 basic questions of any opportunity. And if it's standard, the answers to these are very easy. If it's a non-standard offer, then these 4 questions are going to require a considerable amount of work. The 4 questions are, can we sell it? In other words, do we have the credibility as a business to sell this and win this? So is it worth spending lots of salespeople's time putting together the bid, the proposal, and going out and winning this business? So do we stand a good chance of winning it? Second question, can we deliver it? So can we prove to ourselves and to our prospects that we can deliver this and make it work and bring it together as an integrated solution? Thirdly, can we support it? Do our help desk have the skills required to support this? If it's standard, that should already be in place. If it's non-standard, what training is going to be required to ensure that people can provide the support that's required for this solution, so that we know exactly how we're going to support it before the day we take the order? Because if we understand the answer to those second two questions, can we deliver it, can we support it, before we write the proposal, then we're not going to price something to make a loss. We have to price things to make a profit, and we can only do that by having clear business processes to understand our cost base for standard stuff, and by having a clear mechanism within the business to cost non-standard offers and package them and deliver them and support them, understanding the end-to-end costs before we provide the price to the prospect. And last but by no means least, can we bill it? Do we have the mechanisms in place to bill it in a way that we're promising the customer that we're going to bill it? And can we collect the cash on it once we've billed it? Do we have the processes in place to do all of those things? If you can get the customer journey right, then you're going to get a number of benefits. You're going to reduce the time it takes from generating a sales lead into your business to collecting the cash on that. Your support team is going to have a lot less work to do, so they'll be able to spend more time proactively working with your customers and with your systems to ensure your support is even better improved. And it means that they're going to cost less to provide as a support team. So that'll improve the profitability of the organization. You'll protect the brand of your business, something that you spent loads and loads of time and effort building up over the years that you've been running your business. It's very easy to destroy your brand if you get these things wrong. By getting the customer journey right, you protect and enhance that brand. You'll get improved customer service, which will improve loyalty, which in turn will lead to more sales, more reference sites and more case studies. And lastly, but by no means least, it will reduce stress. There's nothing worse than failing to sleep over a weekend because you're worried about the stuff that went wrong on Thursday and Friday that you're going to have to fix on Sunday afternoon or whenever it is you're putting that time in. If you know the business is organized correctly to provide the service properly, then you're going to get a lot less stress and a lot more sleep. And that gives you more time and energy to ensure that the business is moving forwards and growing. So who's the director of first impressions in your business? Is it the receptionist? Is it you? Is it the salesperson? Who's the first person that people meet when they come into your business? Is it a happy, smiling face who makes eye contact, who genuinely takes an interest in the prospect or the suspect or the customer? Is it somebody who takes the customer's needs seriously and processes them? Or is it somebody who's gone beyond caring? Make an effort to understand who the director of first impressions is in your business. In hotels, it's the receptionist in most cases. In some businesses, it might be somebody that you consider to be a clerical employee. Whatever it is, who is the director of first impressions? And who's the director of last impressions? Who do people see just before they pay the bill? Because if you think about the hoteling analogy, an awful lot of hotels put their best staff on in the evenings because that's when you spend the most money, having dinner, drinking in the bar, or whatever. And the same organization will have the worst staff in place just before you pay the bill, when you're getting your breakfast or when you're actually going to pay the bill. The Transmentum team stayed in a hotel in the Milton Keynes once, where the manager came to the breakfast room and greeted everybody every morning at breakfast. And the lady making the omelettes, etc., was absolutely wonderful. She left all of us feeling content and happy about our experience in that hotel. She was on the same hourly wage as somebody who could have done the job and been grumpy, but her attitude was what made the difference. So in your business, who are the people with a positive attitude that leave your customers feeling positive about your organization before they get the bill? I've mentioned this before, that everybody has to be a sales body. Make sure that everybody in your organization knows what your proposition is. Reward prospecting, reward referrals and recommendations wherever they come from in the organization. But everybody's got to be responsible for generating new sales, especially the senior management team, because no sales means no numbers, no people, no deliveries, no visitors, no business. And the thing is, in your business, your senior management team can only be as good as their team. And you have to remember the old adage, customers pay the wages. In fact, there's a story that from Henry Ford, who says, it's not the employer who pays the wages. Employers only handle the money. It's the customer who pays the wages. That's a quote from Henry Ford. So who in your organization is accountable for the customer experience? I promised you I'd spend some more time on the Stage-Gate model. This is based on Prince2 best practice, and it will revolutionize your customer's journey. And remember, whilst this is about a process, the process must always support the customer's needs. It is not about process for its own sake. This is about processes that support customers. Every stage in your sales process has a gatekeeper with a set of go, no-go criteria before passing on to the next stage. Every gatekeeper has a boundary. For example, the sales admin clean order criteria, I mentioned clean orders a few minutes ago, is written down, and both the sales team and the sales administrators know where they are. They cannot tick all the boxes for a clean order and refuse to accept it. But on the other hand, if something missing in an order, they can refuse to accept it until that information has been provided by the salesperson, by the customer, or by them being empowered to go out and get it. The important thing is that the clean order information has clear criteria against it, that your business knows what it is and uses that information to decide whether or not to pass that order on to the delivery people. And if you can't get the answers within 24 hours, raise a red flag with the senior management team. So moving on a bit more about Gate 1, the sales team. Talked about clean orders. That needs to be a documented process. You also need things like 2-minute drills. 2-minute drill is a short document for each part of your proposition. For example, for a managed service contract, and the 2-minute drill talks about what the value proposition is, what the problems are that you'll be solving, what the pricing model is, and provides all of the data that a salesperson needs to remind them what they need, the questions they need to ask. And it's the sort of thing that a salesperson who might be new to your organization would spend 2 minutes reading in the car, on a tablet, or on their laptop before they go in for the appointment, just to remind themselves what questions they need to ask. Technical and commercial sign-off of proposals. Who in your organization provides that service? And proposals above a certain value must be signed off by both technical and commercial people in the business, the senior person with authority. And a good practice is to have a set of staged levels. So orders are up to this value, whatever that is in your business, can be signed off perhaps by the salesperson without reference. Orders above to the next value are signed off by the sales manager or sales director. And then the highest value orders are signed off by you as the business owner. And this is something that you go through in the business before the proposal is sent to the customer. If people are working to the price list, then that's an administrative thing that you can automate perhaps in your business. If people are working outside the price list for whatever reason, giving a discount or producing bespoke prices for a tender response, then that really does need some detailed energy and effort on your part to ensure that the business process supports the salesperson providing a commercially acceptable bid for the customer and also a commercially acceptable bid for your business. Because if you're not going to make money on it, what's the point of offering the low price? And having those boundaries, those sign-off authorities in the sales process will save you a fortune in lost margin. Gate 2, sales administration. These are the people responsible for the order acknowledgement. They're also responsible for doing due diligence on a customer to make sure that if you're going to offer credit to somebody, you know why and you know exactly what the creditworthiness of that prospect is. They provide order confirmation to the customer and to the business. They own the clean order guide and the escalation process for when things go wrong. and they've got boundaries agreed and signed off in the business, so they know exactly what their limits are, what their authority limits are in the business before they can stop things happening or before they can accept things. Third gate is your delivery team. So these are the people providing the service or installing the product, whatever it is in your business. They're responsible for customer communication and setting expectations with customers. Initially in the sales process, you will have set some form of customer expectation on delivery. That must be in collaboration with the delivery team, so that you never ever get a situation where the salesperson says you can have that next week, the order's handed over to the delivery team who say, oh, it's 3 months lead time. That can never ever happen in your business. Customer communications always got to set realistic expectations so that when you win business, it's a case of putting the fine detail. So the salesperson might say it's 2 to 3 weeks lead time on this kind of solution. The delivery team plan it in and say it's the 23rd of July, we'll be on site. And they work with the customer to make sure not only are expectations set, but they're understood and the customer knows where they stand. They're also responsible for notifying both the customer and the business of any potential disruption or hazards. For example, it may be that your business is selling a solution where you've got to arrive at site with a very large van. Somebody's got to ask the customer if you can park that close enough to their building to unload safely, or do they need to make arrangements, put cones up, whatever it is. You might be sending somebody to site who's going to be drilling holes in concrete walls to run cables. That's going to cause disruption in the customer. Somebody's got to sit down and talk to the customer and say, we need to make a lot of noise for an hour. When's the best time to do that? How can we minimize the impact on your business through doing that? And the delivery team manage that. And they manage the way times and expectations are managed within the client, so that the client knows where they stand and your business knows where it stands with the client. And the fourth gate in our process is the welcome pack. This is customer sign off. The customer signed a piece of paper or signed electronically to say, you've done what you said you were going to do and I am now happy. They get a welcome pack. They know where to get support. They get the FAQs. They get how to access your customer help desk, how to order add-ons and upgrade, perhaps the key finance contacts. All of the information that they need is in that welcome pack. Doesn't matter how you provide that. A lot of people still like to provide that on paper, so there's something tangible being handed over, but it can be done electronically. The important thing is that you have that welcome pack and it's kept up to date, and it's somebody's responsibility to ensure that the welcome pack that's sent to new customer X is tailored to new customer X and has the right information in it. And it also needs to be somebody's responsibility to inform customers when data in their welcome pack changes, if you change the way you'll need to interact with your service desk, for example. And gate 5 is the internal gate. This is about telling the customer support and the customer sales team that this customer is live. So the customer support team know that the project's gone live. Therefore, if they get a support call come in, they know how the system's being configured. They know how to deal with it. The sales team know that the customer's live, so that a salesperson can do that courteous of things and ring the customer up and say, how was it for you? And there's last but probably most importantly, somebody's being able to tell the finance team there's no reason why this client shouldn't pay, please raise the invoice. So you get to gate 6 in the finance team, you raise the invoice, and your credit control people need to be firm, fair, but demanding. They've got to be customer friendly, and they've got to record complaints and manage those complaints in the business. Because if you don't really know how your finance team behave, you need to find out. And it may be that they're the people who are finding out, for example, that customer complaints are being raised on particular solutions that you provide, and that's the reason for slow payment. They need to keep a record of those and make sure they tell the delivery team and the support team, so that these things can be dealt with proactively and prevented from happening in future. So your credit control team is in part responsible for customer care and need to understand that they have that responsibility. Gate 7, customer support. This is about things like ticket close confirmations, getting the customer to confirm that the ticket really is closed. requesting feedback from the customer, simple automated forms. We all use cloud-based solutions these days with automated ticket systems. Does your system automatically ask 2 or 3 basic customer care questions when a ticket's closed, so that you understand how people feel about your organization all the time, and you're taking that information into the business and using it proactively to improve customer support? Are you measuring response times, not just answering phone calls times, but actually response times to provide decent customer support? Have you got escalation processes in place so that when people run out of their depth, they don't just hold on to things, they actually know that they're encouraged to get help from elsewhere in the organization when things have gone on for too long? Do you have a competent skills matrix for your team in customer care department and in your tech support desk, so that you know exactly how to route inbound calls to people who've got the skills to deal with those? So in summary, this is my last slide. Getting fast growth, high growth in a tech business demands that you have a set of values embedded into the business. You engage your staff and measure that engagement regularly. You know your numbers and you manage the customer's journey. And in order to achieve all of those things, it's important that you as the business owner are working on the business, not just in it. I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes now in case there's any questions in the chat box. But thank you very much indeed for your time and attention this afternoon.